Yuki Tsunoda, a young Japanese racer, has once again become a hot topic in the Formula One world. After several years defending the Red Bull Junior team, Tsunoda began to consider his future outside of the team that made his name. Red Bull's decision not to promote him to the main team raises big questions about the direction of his career going forward. Is this a sign that Red Bull has missed out on one of its best talents? Or will Tsunoda find greater success with another team? Let's discuss it in depth. Tsunoda joined the AlphaTauri, now RB, team in 2021 after impressive performances in Formula 2. Backed by Honda and part of Red Bull's Young Driver program, Tsunoda was expected to be a future driver for the main Red Bull racing team. However, the road to the top was not always smooth. In his first season, Tsunoda struggled to adapt to the Formula One car. Although he showed promising speed, he also made several mistakes that cost his team. Over time, however, he began to show significant improvements, especially in the 2023 and 2024 seasons, where he consistently outperformed his teammates. In mid-2024, Red Bull made a big decision. They chose Liam Lawson, a reserve driver with limited racing experience, to replace Sergio Perez on the main team for the 2025 season. In fact, Tsunoda had beaten Lawson on several occasions in terms of speed and consistency. This decision left many people wondering why Red Bull chose Lawson over Tsunoda. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's consultant, gave his reasons. According to him, although Tsunoda has speed, he is still considered less stable and sometimes emotional on the team radio. In addition, Red Bull sees Lawson as a more promising choice for the future. This decision is certainly disappointing for Tsunoda, who has served the team for many years. A major factor that could affect Yuki Tsunoda's Formula One career is his close relationship with Honda. The Japanese manufacturer has long been a key supporter of Tsunoda's, and in 2026 they will return as engine suppliers to Aston Martin. This situation opens up a great opportunity for Tsunoda to get a seat at the team, given the direct link between Honda and the team's strategic decisions. Honda themselves have made it clear that they want to see Tsunoda develop and have the opportunity to race in a more competitive team. Currently, Aston Martin has Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll as its main drivers. However, Alonso, who is over 40 years old, is expected to retire after 2026, while Stroll has yet to fully prove himself as a top driver. If Aston Martin really wants to compete at the highest level, they need a driver with the speed, experience, and strong technical connections of Tsunoda. However, Tsunoda's road to Aston Martin is not entirely smooth. One major challenge that could hinder his chances is the potential move of Max Verstappen. The multiple world champion is reportedly interested in joining Aston Martin should Red Bull experience instability in the future. If Aston Martin succeeds in signing Verstappen, the competition for a seat at the team will become even fiercer and Tsunoda's chances could be diminished. In several recent interviews, Yuki Tsunoda has indicated that he has not completely ruled out the possibility of seeking opportunities outside the Red Bull environment. Although he still has a strong desire to remain part of the Red Bull family, he is also aware that as a professional racer he needs to consider the best options that can support his career development in the future. In his statement, Tsunoda mentioned that his team is likely to undergo another name change next season, which means he will technically be racing for a team with a different identity. More importantly for him, however, is how his performance can continue to develop and whether Red Bull will continue to trust him to stay with the team. Maybe our team will change its name again next year, so I will race for another team. We will see. It all depends on my performance. Of course I want to stay in the Red Bull family, but if not I will have to consider other options, said Tsunoda in one of his interviews. From this statement, it is clear that Tsunoda is starting to open up the possibility of looking for opportunities with other teams if Red Bull does not give him a place or show full confidence in him. He seems to be starting to realize that in the world of Formula One, everything can change quickly, and in order to maintain the continuity of his career, he must remain open to all possibilities. Thus, his future with Red Bull is still a question mark, depending on his performance and the team's decision regarding the driver lineup for the upcoming season. Red Bull is known as one of the teams that has a very competitive driver academy, often producing exceptional talent in the world of Formula One racing. However, their strict policy in determining who deserves a seat on the main team often leaves out some talented drivers. This has happened several times in the past, with Red Bull releasing drivers who then quickly developed and proved their quality in other teams. A real example of this is Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly, who left Red Bull to show their potential with other teams. Sainz, for example, is now one of the drivers that Ferrari relies on, while Gasly has rediscovered his best performance after moving to another team. Both cases show that Red Bull's decision to let talented drivers go is not always in their favor and could be something they regret later. Currently, a similar situation could happen to Yuki Tsunoda, one of the drivers in the Red Bull Academy who is currently racing for their satellite team, Visa Cash App RB, formerly AlphaTauri. Tsunoda still has a chance to prove himself as a driver worthy of a seat on the main team. If he is able to show exceptional performances in the remaining 2024 and 2025 seasons, it is not impossible that Red Bull will reconsider his position in the team and give him a bigger chance. However, if his performance continues to be ignored and Red Bull does not give him full confidence, then the best step for Tsunoda is to seek opportunities with another team that values and supports his development as a professional driver. As happened with Sainz and Gasly, Tsunoda could find greater success outside of Red Bull, which could ultimately make the team regret their decision not to keep him. With the regulatory changes set to take effect in 2026, many Formula One teams are now preparing their long-term strategies to remain competitive in this new era of motorsport. These major changes will not only affect the technical aspects of the cars, but also the team's decision to select the drivers who can lead them to success. Aston Martin is not the only team considering major changes to their driver lineup. Major teams such as Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are also considering various options to create their best lineup. The decision of which drivers will stay or join a particular team is becoming increasingly important as they face the new challenges of the 2026 season. One team that has caught the eye is Mercedes. So far, the Brackley-based team has given no indication of Lewis Hamilton's future after his contract expires in 2025. If the seven-time world champion decides to retire or even join another team, Mercedes will certainly have to find a suitable replacement. They could look to young talent with the potential to develop in a top team. In this context, Yuki Tsunoda's name could be on Mercedes' radar as one of the candidates worth considering to fill the vacant seat. On the other hand, Ferrari is also evaluating the future of its two drivers, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Both drivers have important roles in Ferrari's long-term project, but it is possible that there will be changes if one of them decides to leave. If this scenario occurs, Ferrari could potentially look for a young driver with Formula One experience to fill the vacancy in their team. In this case, Tsunoda could be an interesting option for the Italian team, considering his increasingly developing skills and experience in the middle of the grid. With so many variables that could affect the 2026 driver lineup, the next few years are going to be interesting. The decisions each team makes about who will fill their seat could be a deciding factor in the new era of Formula One, filled with new challenges and opportunities. Yuki Tsunoda's future in F1 remains uncertain. Red Bull's decision not to promote him to the first team has led to much speculation about his next move. With interest from Aston Martin and the backing of Honda, Tsunoda has a great chance of finding success elsewhere. But will he take the risk of leaving the Red Bull family? Or will he stay and prove himself worthy of a place in the first team? Let us know in the comments below.